But first, we're starting the show today with the heartbreaking news about 15-year-old Eliana Andam, who was stabbed to death on her way to school in Croydon in South London yesterday morning. There she is. She was reportedly stabbed after stepping in to protect her friend. And now a 17-year-old man has been arrested. It's a story, Cole, that I think has impacted just about everybody, hasn't it?
Just everybody. And I don't even know where to start with it. I just don't understand. I don't understand when all this started, when all this knife culture, when all this, you know, hurting each other started. You know, when my kids were younger, like Shane's 34, when he used to go out, I used to be worried about him getting into a fight. You know, the way, oh, I hope he doesn't get into a... Not that he was a fighter, but, you know, you did worry when your kids were outside. Nowadays, it's, I hope they don't get killed. I hope they don't get stabbed, or... It's like, what's happened? Where has this come from? When did it become part of our culture?
Well, there's definitely been a rise since the pandemic in attacks, and what a lot of charities sort of say is that coming out of lockdown, young people have been a lot more vulnerable, and vulnerability is something that, you know, criminal gangs will hook onto. So they say that that's part of the reason why numbers have increased. But also, oh gosh, no, it's not criminal gangs at all, not by a long shot. But it's interesting that you sort of talk about that, you know, it feels like it's happening more frequently. But, you know, I've had family members who have been attacked with knives, and we're going back 20 years. My cousin has a scar from here to here where he was slashed just off Oxford Street after a night out some 20 years ago. And I have other friends whose brothers have been attacked over the years. I also always sort of think if you're in those big cities, London is by no means that got the highest percentage of attacks. It's the West Midlands, I think. Yeah.
And the thing for me is I keep thinking, when did it start? And I know I sound really old here. Oh, I am. For me, it kind of... I still put it back to when they took authority away out of schools, out of the police force, out of parents. There's so much you can't do anymore as far as teaching and right and wrong, because they can just tell you to shut up and walk out and there's nothing you can do. And it just worries me that it's feral almost.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've almost become inured to male-on-male violence, because when you think about it, pretty much every day now there's a little small story about, you know, a boy has been stabbed by another boy, wherever. The thing about this story is just the normality of it, and it's a girl, it's a young woman who was stepping in just to protect her friend. It was a very ordinary situation that I think has shocked everybody. And for me, a youth leader who I think is somebody that you know, Kelly, Anthony King. I think we've got a clip of him being asked about this latest incident.
It's diabolical. For nothing, we've lost a teenager with a bright future. She was on course to do well in her GCSEs. She lost her life.
Just hearing you talk about it, I can see... Oh, no.
Let me try it.
And it's just that it's you know, he's a community leader, and the hopelessness, the senselessness of it all. And you just think everybody is feeling that way. Everybody is just thinking, what can we do to try and... You can never mean it won't ever happen, but to try and stop.
Yeah. I mean, we have Eliana's aunt released a statement earlier on today. Gosh, I think everybody's quite impacted by the reaction from Anthony there. So Eliana's aunt said she wanted to be a lawyer. She went to a private school and had a great future ahead of her. We are all devastated by this. We are a big family and we're all here for my sister. We cannot comprehend the heartbreak of the last 24 hours. She went to school and didn't come home.
Oh. Yeah. And that's what's so sad, you know, listening to Anthony's heartbreak, because he has been working tirelessly for years to combat these issues within the young people, in terms of the young people's community. We lost Horton, and this is like 15 years ago when Horton was also stabbed fatally, and he was literally just going to collect the Friday night takeaway.
This is your cousin, yeah?
Yes, and he was literally just going to collect his Friday night takeaway, and he was stabbed and his life was taken. But the tragic thing about things like this is that in Horton's case, they still haven't been able to get justice for the family.
No.
So the family are still grieving and still waiting for answers, like what happened to Max's son, like what has happened here, and things like our community centres being taken away, and all of those kind of structures that were put in when we were younger. To give young people a place to go of safety where they could go to, foster new skills, hobbies, things that would take them in different directions, positive things that they'd be spending their lives doing. Those elements of funding are now no longer there. Not even a library is there in some areas for people to go to after school to have that kind of youth fellowship that's positive, that enables youth to have positive outlets for their energy.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, a teenage boy has been arrested, and we will see what happens in the coming days regarding this. But our heart really does go out to Eliana's family, who are having to grieve in the most shocking way. But if you have been affected by anything that we have been speaking about so far this morning, do go to the Loose Wind website, where you'll find links to help and support.